Just over a year ago, Jeff Poole, the founder of the fine wine delivery company, and his daughter Tracy talked to NBR about the use of artificial intelligence to help customers with expert advice without having to speak directly to one of their staff. The fruition of more AI development is about to be launched by the Auckland-based company. And Jeff and Tracy join me now to talk more about that. Well, Jeff, you were just introducing Expert Assistant Store last time we spoke. So what's the new development?
Well, the exciting thing is that we actually got it introduced in store, and it's a really important part of our whole program because Expert Assist is entirely empowering the consumer. So for their own personal tastes. And so it took us a little longer than expected, but it's happened and it's fantastic. It's on 28-inch touch screens, it's intuitive, it's engaging, and you go through the flavour wheel process as part of it where you just select your own flavours that appeal to you, no right or wrong. And inevitably, when that wine turns up and you pour your first glass, it will have those flavour profiles in it. So it's going to have a very high percentage of likability in terms of personal style. So I guess if I just go back one step and say, for years, or 24 years now, we've qualified quality and value through our tasting rooms. We've tasted every wine we've sold and reject around about 50% of them. The other equation has always been style, and this has been time immemorial in the industry globally that the only way you can deal with people's consumer style is when you get them in store and you have highly trained people who've tried all the wines. Now, inevitably, even in our environment, they haven't tried them all. So they've tried a lot of them. So you want to, that's the way that they can engage with you. They've got to be careful listeners. They've got to hear what you're saying and be able to match a wine style to you. Because again, there's a flavour wheel for every grape variety. And I think we touched on it last time, Chardonnay, the big full-bodied style at that end, the toasty, buttery style, the lean, flinty, minerally Chablis. Those drinkers won't even meet in the middle, and it's the same grape variety. So this has been the whole thing about Expert Assist, a process where you engage, you go through it. You can now be guided through the process by Jeff the avatar, or you can just go it alone because it's very easy and intuitive. So you'd click on the beverage, let's say it was wine because it's wine, craft beer and fine spirits. You'd click on the wine, you'd click on the grape variety, and then you click on reds, whites, or champagne, sparkling. Click on the grape variety, and then you're at the flavour wheel. You make your choices. All of a sudden, up comes all of these selections that each have displayed the flavours that are relative to your selections that are made.
How unique is this AI development globally that you've done?
IBM, who own the Watson platform that we've developed it with, they've done their own research globally. We've done a business scan globally that we spent $50,000 on to make sure that we knew what was going on globally. This is definitely a global first. It's our vision, it's our IP. So what we see with this too is that it actually has a value beyond obviously our own family business. It has a much greater value for the industry as a whole globally, because what Tracy was talking about, 5% extra increase in shopping value. That is just showing that people aren't shopping for specials, they're shopping for wines that are suited to their taste. So that has a much wider effect on the shopping tail, and we're seeing that through our shopping tail. There's all those other obscure but wonderful wines on the shelf that don't have the big budgets. They are now getting picked up by consumers through this process. And then if we also look at the industry globally, it's about 3% down, and the next generation are a bit slower to come onto wine. Well, we see this tool as taking away the intimidation factor of totally empowering them, and the next generation of people who want to be empowered, and empowering them to make their own decisions. And so this is, and then also shopping along the long tail, which is great for the industry as a whole. So we just see this as an incredibly valuable tool. So the answer is yes. That was a long answer. The answer is yes, we're going to take it to the world. And probably before the end of the year, we'll be looking at some licensing arrangements internationally. Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal from this work? Is it scalability of your business?
I think scalability. I guess when Jeff started with this vision, it was about how we couldn't reach all those people without us standing in front of them, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that absolute scalability just for us as fine wine delivery, and there's also the amount of people coming in store, and you can't necessarily serve all of those people and give them that level of expert advice. So how do you actually deliver that to a much more en masse audience, and it still be the advice that we would give? And that's sort of definitely that scalability there, which is what we're achieving. And we are seeing in store, there's 35% of our in-store customers are using it. So that alleviates that in-store pressure. And also on top of that, our team do use it as a tool to help give better expertise and things like that as well. So all of those unique kind of, it comes down to even new staff coming on board, your training of those people. It's a tool for all of those things and a highly engaging tool with the customer. So, scalability on that front. Yeah. And then if you're asking about more broadly, owning that IP and that opportunity to take that as its own business as well is obviously a goal for us.
So online must have grown. How did COVID affect things?
It absolutely had a significant impact, and you see massive spikes in those times where lockdowns happened, for sure.
People needed to drink.
They did. They were at home and they didn't have all their restaurant occasions and all of those sorts of things, and they were socialising that way too. They were on live chats with their family, whether they be at home or across the globe. So it definitely brought that in-home occasion a lot stronger and more regularly consuming. So I guess there were those massive spikes, and we've sort of accounted for that in terms of what we think is actually our COVID boost and versus our growth. And we think what it's really done for us is accelerated where we were going. We were already projecting really good growth online, but by the end of last year we were 65% growth online, so that's phenomenal. And then as we got into the first part of this year, you start to get a little bit, that's the real test, was it COVID or were you growing really well? And online particularly has grown another 33% on top of that. So we're definitely on that great trajectory of customers engaging in the experience we're offering.
You're a small family-owned business. What does this AI development cost? And how do you measure the success of it?
Well, it's now $500,000, right? But relatively speaking, we see that as a very incredibly positive investment, because it's not just what it's doing for fine wine delivery, and we can see measurable growth there, and yet we're only at the start of that growth. I think once people start using this technology, and we're seeing it, they use it all the time. So Tracy was saying, I can't remember the percentage are using it online already, but imagine when we get that to 50%, and that will happen, and it'll go beyond that, because it's just this wonderful tool. So, I think that the investment is great, and of course it then has the implications of that investment in terms of our other separate family company that's going to take that licensing to the globe. In time, it might well seem like a pretty small investment for a pretty big outcome. Yeah.
Is it never ending? Have you got more projects on the go? Can you talk about them?
We do.
Yeah.
I think there's two things. Maybe personalisation is probably the next step in terms of an extension of Expert Assist. So that's going to bring it, from you working inside that tool within the website to it actually all around your own account information. So you really being able to deep dive on your own.
So it can
preferences.
make recommendations to you based on what you've ordered previously.
And you're going to be able to see the sort of styles that you like, and it's going to present to you that you sort of, maybe you're 80% a Pinot Noir drinker and 20% a Pinot Gris drinker or a beer, whatever your preferences are. And within that, it's also wrapping around those natural language terms which help you articulate what it is that you the patterns that you see in all of that buying history for you. So it's taking all of your buying history, whether you've shopped in store or online, got that all in one, and really condensing that down for you. So having that complete control over your own profile and what it does and how it influences your decisions is really empowering for the customer.
And that can be as simple as just taking one of your wines on the purchase and clicking on a compare button on it.
Yeah.
And then the whole process behind it that does all of this with Expert Assist and everything, kicks into action and gives you several recommendations on the same technology related to the wine that you're comparing that you've been enjoying. So I mean, it's very dynamic, personalisation window, and that's really, I think, going to just make that a whole wider consumer experience. But another thing I think is really exciting, and Tracy talked about it when we were here last time, but it's taken a lot longer than expected, but it's going to be a wonderful product, is the sort of subscription or continuity package for people. And I'll let Tracy just briefly talk to that.
Yeah, so the vision's always been there, and it was meant to launch last year, but we really needed to get this Expert Assist piece right.
So how would it work?
So pretty much like you would sign on to any subscription where you would sort of be like, I want, we're 3, 6, 12 bottles of wine monthly, however often you want that, beer and spirits as well. And within that, it's going to take you through some questions that helps qualify the types of styles you like, but it's also going to be looking at your purchase history as well, combining all of that together, and it'll come up with your taste profile. So you're shopping our over 2,000 products, and your case is going to be different to mine or Jeff's or anyone's, and it truly is the only personalised option out there. There are algorithms and things like that out there that do it, but I think we have this very common acceptance across a lot of subscription processes where we're kind of happy with maybe 70% of what we get, sometimes less, and in this situation that's not the case. You will be receiving things that every style is suited to you. Yeah.
And just finally, Jeff and Tracy, what are some of the lessons you've learned? What advice would you give other companies looking at AI development? Yeah,
okay. So I'm coming back to it. I'm saying understand your problem, understand your need, and then you need to partner alongside someone who's really doing good things in the AI. And if you find yourself a good development partner, and sit down and have a chat and go through a series of workshops, and then you can develop a more closer look at what the outcomes can be. But really, it's understanding those things first, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then I think it's just testing it. We've made some amendments to what we started with, whether it was the flavour wheel on its own on the website, Jeff as a chatbot now as a widget, the engagement's higher and that, and all those little things. And I think the one thing you've got with this technology is that one same piece of technology is running all of these projects. So you can do so much with it once you get started. So I think sort of you're limitless really in what you can do. But it's, like you say, finding that problem first.
Have a great partner. That's the key thing.
Absolutely.
We've got a great partner in Spacetime who IBM linked us up with, and when we go to roll out stuff internationally, they'll be there with us too. So that's really important, having a great development partner.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Jeff and Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.